The theme for today's video is don't let your vision limit your results. Okay, many people seem to focus all their effort on, they set a goal, they try and achieve it, and what are the steps to achieving a goal, etc., etc. What I want to talk about is a little more meta than that. I want to talk about deciding on the proper goals for yourself, deciding on goals that are big enough for you. Because the greatest tragedy in life, to me, has never been the idea of not achieving your goals. It's been the idea of achieving your goals but setting them too low. Setting goals that are too attainable, and then you achieve them. And the funny thing is, you'll be content with that shallow victory. You'll be content because you don't feel the negative emotion of failure, but you won't have achieved what you could have in life. And it'll be this sort of like subtle, slow, easy, soft failure that will never affect you emotionally, but you will die with your song still inside of you, all right? One of the things that really brought this home to me was back in the day when we used to play poker. I went to my poker coach one day and I said, I'm playing really well. I've been watching all the hands that I'm losing. I'm not giving away any bets. I'm not losing any extra money. And he said, well, that's cool, but I'm sure you're losing lots of money on the hands that you're winning. I'm sure you're not getting maximum value all the time either, the way you're playing. And I thought that was a really interesting concept. The idea that we notice when we make overt mistakes, we notice when we have failures, but we don't notice when we succeed but don't succeed enough, when we don't set our standards high enough. So that's what I'm gonna talk to you about in this video. Why is it that we tend to set our sights too low as human beings? Basically, there are three main reasons. First of all, there's a main human drive to try and avoid pain more so than to seek pleasure. This comes from evolution. It comes from the fact that in the environment in which we evolved, every single day we were faced with literally danger and death. So the first priority was stay alive, avoid pain, avoid negative consequences, don't seek pleasure. However, nowadays in the modern world, we're in a situation where we actually have the resources to self-actualize. We are in a situation where we aren't at risk on a daily basis of dying. And so things are categorically different and those impulses no longer serve us. However, there still remains to this day that inclination to try and avoid pain first, seek pleasure later. And we need to overturn that in order to be at our absolute best. We need to seek the maximum rather than avoid the pain along the way. That's reason number one. Reason number two is due to the economic theory of opportunity cost, which basically says that we notice what happens in our lives, but we don't notice what doesn't happen or what could have happened in our lives. So we notice if we try to go after something huge and we fail, we feel that failure. We feel that loss. However, if we go after something little and succeed, we feel a positive, we feel that success. What we don't notice is the massive, incredible feeling, the incredible success that could have come if we really strove for something great, because that's a non-entity, that's a non-happening, all right? So we notice what happened in the world, but we didn't notice what could have happened. So that leads us to try and seek these sort of like mundane, slightly positive experiences as opposed to going for the big positive. And the third one, honestly, is probably laziness. It's so much easier to not expend the energy. It's so much easier to stay within your comfort zone. It's so much easier not to strive for something great. And so those are the reasons why we'll take the shallow victory. We'll take that little boost of a positive chemical in our body as opposed to the chance of the very big success or the very big failure. And that is what holds us back. Now, in a certain sense, that's smart in a lot of areas. For example, if you're trying to go get an education and get a solid job, that makes total sense. It's a lot wiser decision for most people than trying to go make it as like a star athlete, the big risk, big reward. And so we're also rewarded for there, because say you set out to be like a lawyer and you go to all this school and then you don't make it as a top lawyer, you still have a good degree to fall back on. You still have all these positive other things to fall back on, all right, that you can go get some other job. Whereas if you go try and make it as a basketball star and you don't make it, you're kind of fucked in other regards. So that exists in the real world. However, in pickup and in social development and anything where you're striving and pushing yourself and growing as a person, that's actually the opposite of true. It's actually the opposite of true, because it's the challenging experiences that will actually help you grow more. So your experience in life is a false metaphor in that regard. So what you need to do is accept the burden, accept the challenge, push yourself, and don't take that soft, shallow victory. Recognize that the painful processes, the negatives, are actually sometimes the highest positives. So I'm gonna give you three outstanding examples of this concept from my own personal game, from my own personal life. There are countless examples. I'm sure you can think of your own, but here's three really good ones that illustrate the point for me. Number one, there's this phenomenon we call fucking the warm-up, okay? That is when you go out there to get in state, you start hitting up sets, and you hit with some girl that's like a 7 or 8, very cute girl, you'd be happy to fuck her, but it wouldn't be a great experience. It wouldn't be a story you'd tell, it wouldn't be something amazing, it wouldn't be something that's out of your ordinary, routine, normal life. But you end up in that situation where the cute girl likes you, she's ready to go, you see the hot girl, it's early in the night, and you're just like, well, you know what, this one's down, I'll just go for it, I'll have that experience, instead of really pushing yourself, instead of really driving for something great. And at a certain point in your game, it's what you should do. If you're a beginner, if you haven't, had that much success with women and that sort of thing, then maybe you should do that. But when you get to a certain point, when you're doing that all the time, you need to just, step up, say, is this an act of self-love? Is this an act of excellence for myself? And a lot of times it's not, and you need to step down and do something else. Number 2 example is something that happened to me recently. I had 2 different dates lined up for the same night, and I couldn't decide which one to go with. And I got advice from a few different people. And a lot of the advice was go with the easy one or go with the safe one, that sort of thing. Or what I used to do is I'd try and schedule both, and I'd schedule one at like 5 o'clock and one at 8 o'clock, and then try and like kind of finesse, decide how well it's going and make a decision. I got some advice from Tyler, which was just take them both out, treat it as a fun, chill thing instead of a formal date, and actually go for the threesome. Or if that doesn't work, just make it a story, take the best you can out of it and see where it goes. And actually I had one of the best date scenarios of my entire life because of it. One of the most fun and also one of the best results. Why? Because I was actually coming from a frame of true, pure abundance rather than from a frame of trying not to lose anything, trying not to fuck it up. And it's so easy when you have 2 good opportunities to think, how do I not fuck any of them up and try and not lose what you have? Fuck that. You don't have anything. You don't have anything, especially with a girl. Until you're having sex with her, you don't have her. And in life, you don't have anything that can be taken away from you, which means for the most part, you don't have shit. What you have is your experiences, your ability, and what you've learned. That's it, so focus on that. Last example, and this one's really interesting. I had an assistant in Australia who had nowhere near as good a game as me, but he was really good at doing quick pulls. Like his average pull from cold approach was 20 minutes or less, okay? Now he missed a lot of sets, he did a lot of stuff wrong, whatever, but his average pull was super fast. I never have pulls that fast. And so it wasn't in my reality to try for that. If I had a situation where I only have 10 minutes, I wouldn't even do the approach. I wouldn't even try. But I saw him do it and I was thinking to myself, what the fuck? I'm better than him. I have a better talent level, I have better ability. Why can he do it and I can't? And so after seeing him do it, I was actually able to step up and do it right then and there. Had my game changed? No, but my idea in my head of what was possible had changed, and that made all the difference. And so during that trip and since then, I've been able to get those faster pulls, those crazier pulls. And so that made all the difference. And it wasn't a shift in my ability, it wasn't a shift in what I actually could do, but it was myself giving myself permission and not letting the fact that I couldn't imagine it going down because it hadn't before get in my way. Instead, just take the step, put yourself in that situation, and trust that you'll figure it out, okay? So again, don't allow your visions, don't allow your ideas of what's possible hold you back from trying things beyond. Don't allow yourself to be stifled or hindered by your past, by your expectations, by your preconceptions. So to summarize, I'm gonna try and keep this from being like a cheesy military announcement saying like aim high, be all you can be, something like that. But look, make your goals at least big enough that when you achieve them, you'll be truly proud. Don't make it a shallow victory. Don't make it the kind of thing where you're like, okay, well, I did that, but maybe I should have worked instead. Maybe I should have done something else instead. Make sure that what you go after is truly great. Remember that in this area, you don't get to keep it. It's not like education. It's not like you get to stock up resources, that sort of stuff. When you're improving yourself, all you have is what you've done for yourself. It's not like you had like success with a 7, you get to bottle it, bring it back out and be like, look, I've succeeded with a 7, therefore I can buy another 7. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to accumulate, all right? All you have is what's inside of you. And what's inside of you grows the most from pushing yourself and challenging yourself, all right? I always say it's better for the soul to fail with a 10 than to succeed with a 7, and I strongly hold to that. It really is. Even if you fail, you will have grown, you have learned better lessons. If you just succeed with another 7 or another what's capable, what you normally can get, it won't be a memorable experience for you. It won't be something you'll talk about when you're 80, and it won't be something you will grow from because it won't have given your brain new information. So do it. Go after the big thing. Even if you fail, it's better for you in the long run, at least in this area of life. Not in all areas of life, but at least here, it is the better solution, okay? 2 ideas that I always kind of keep in my mind, 2 phrases sort of, to help me there. First is this an act of self-love? Is this an act of self-love? Okay. Will you feel better about yourself for having done this? Will you feel better about yourself for having tried? Will you feel better about yourself for having succeeded? Will you feel better about yourself even for having failed? Most of the time, if you're doing truly great congruent things, even if you fail at them, you'll feel better about yourself for trying. right? That's the true indicator. Is this an act of self-love? Is this an act of me being my best self and expressing that and not rejecting myself? So many guys go through life rejecting themselves, rejecting the idea that they can do something great, and instead settling for something mediocre and having those successes and avoiding the negative emotion of a failure, but never really having the emotion of greatness, okay? So, is it an act of self-love? And then secondly, what would I do if I had total abundance, okay? I encourage you to be in the game for life. Never quit, never be complete. Even if you get married, even if you get a girlfriend, still keep self-improving and still keep going out, still keep talking to people, still keep understanding the social matrix better. Be in the game for life. If you do that, there will come a time, whether it be a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, where you will have essentially total abundance. You will have the ability to have the type of people in your life you want anytime you want. When that is the case, you will act differently. You would not even bother spending time with someone that's beneath you, someone that is not going to excite you, right? So don't start now. Start working on what you actually plan to achieve down the road rather than take the little shallow victories along the way, okay? That's it. Till next time, go hard, set your sights high. Do not let your vision narrow your results.